Hello and welcome to my first video on this channel. This channel is going to be me rating cars, as we can see. This is my very own Abarth 500. I'm going to be giving you some details on what it is compared to a Fiat 500 and what other models you can get, engine specs and everything else that comes with this fun little package. So I've got some information here on my phone. So as you can probably tell just by looking, the Abarth 500 has got some quite quirky features compared to your standard Fiat 500s. So you get a set of 17-inch alloys straight from the factory. I believe some come with 16-inch, but this one here comes with the 17 inches. Have been sprayed black, I believe. They've got a slight pink tint to them. If you notice here on the bumper, we've got vents for the coolers. We've got a more aggressive styling with a lip along the bottom, and more vents along here, which I'll show you closer up soon. These cars also sit slightly lower to the ground than the standard Fiat 500s. I'm not 100% sure what suspension they're sat on, but I know it is stiffer and tuned for more sporty track side of things instead of your standard bundling on the roads. This one here has a sports cat and a straight through exhaust. It did pass its MOT, so it is legal. And unlike the standard Fiat 500s, these actually come with a 1.4 T-Jet engine, which is also found in some of the Alfa Romeo Mitos. The sportier ones, I would say. There's a lot of questioning out there whether this engine is reliable or not. Personally, I think it is very reliable. I bought this car last year for just for some fun and as a reward to myself after moving from a Ford Fiesta. I wanted something quirky that was out there, something that was different but still nippy and could get out of a junction quick enough. So I bought this car. 4 weeks into it, the engine went bang. It went to multiple garages around my area and no one could figure out what the actual issue was. In the end, I ended up purchasing a new engine and with help from my lovely neighbour, fitted it myself, got it through its MOT. Multiple things went wrong with it. I had to change the rear axle. On the way home from passing the MOT, the turbo blew up on it. All by fault of my own, I would say, and possibly dodgy fitting, but ever since then, that was earlier this year, this car has ran like a dream and I couldn't fault it one bit. It is booked into the garage for a couple things next Tuesday, wheel bearings, top mounts on suspension, everything that keeps me going fast pretty much safely. So yeah, I'll show you a bit more of the car. So as a standard, these cars do come, like I said, with the 1.4 T-Jet engine. The most basic models, which is this one right here, the Abarth 500, comes with a 135 brake horsepower variant, which doesn't sound like too much, but when you are in a car that only weighs a ton, it feels like plenty enough. Saying that, cheeky little shout out to Blue Spark here. Blue Spark tuning modules, you can fit them yourselves. I fit one to this car and it has pushed it to around the 170 horsepower mark, so they claim. I can definitely feel the difference with the Blue Spark tuning box on. You can also choose your own maps to suit yourself, basically. You can get other variants of this car, like the 595, the 695. Each of them, the horsepower will creep up individually, and the 695 comes with a 180 brake horsepower. Same 1.4 engine, but tuned to 180 brake horsepower, which is fucking mental for a car that weighs a ton. A ton. You can't wrap your head around that. As you can see though, this has got some rather sporty little Abarth's logos on the side, kind of going for the Ferrari look, but they've moved it past the door. It's also got some different side skirts to the Fiat 500, whereas the Fiat 500 would loop around. These quite nice and flush, meets with the wheels. It has very quirky little different things that if you were to look at a Fiat 500 and to look at this, you would notice the difference. If I had them parked next to each other, you'd be able to see what I'm on about. Moving around to the back of the car, again you'll be noticing what I mean when I say there are differences between this car and the Fiat 500. Even though it is based on the same shell, it is a completely different car. So as you can see down here, we have dual exit exhausts. You can get the quad tailpipes, which there's like two that sit on top of each other. It's like Marmite with those. Near the exhaust you can see the diffuser, which your standard Fiat 500 would not come with. So you've got a nice tasty diffuser down here, which just gives it that quite aggressive and sporty look. I have fitted some mud flaps, fairly wonkily must I say. I fitted them myself just to give it more of a, I don't know, slightly quirky and unique look, as if it wasn't enough. And you can see these vents, which actually do vent. I can get my fingers in there on both sides, so that'll bring air through the wheel arches and just push it out. Again, helping with aerodynamics, which I'm not very clued up on, but we'll leave it there. This also has the spoiler, which sticks out a big chunk. You can actually tell from looking at it at the top view how much it's fairly meaty spoiler. And again, the scorpion on the badge, what more's needed to be said about that? It's Abarth's logo. It is a fairly aggressive logo. If you can tell me a better logo for cars out there, please go ahead with it. One thing I'm not a big fan of is how they kept the 500. Now I know this is the Abarth 500, but in my head you'd want to make it as far away from a Fiat 500 as possible. Leaving this, yeah, I mean, kill all chrome, that needs to go. You can get carbon covers to fit over those. I think that will be on the bucket list pretty soon. So moving a bit closer to the front bumper, I hope you can see Abarth has used every opportunity for ventilation in this. So obviously we have all of this grille down here, we have the grille down the sides, which I was showing you before, all of this along here, and even in the badge they have used that for ventilation. They want this car to be able to get as much air as possible without compromising on the quirky looks of the Fiat/Abarth 500 front end, which does stand out apart from any other car. It's got your standard lights, which they're alright. I've just purchased these brand new, as the ones I had before were shit, quite frankly. The fog lights, they work when it's foggy. You can't fault them. The only issue I have with this car is this daytime running light doesn't work for some bizarre reason. So when I show you the dash, you will see a warning light. That warning light will be for that daytime running light. Again, car is booked in at the garage, so I will be asking them to have a look at it. So this is the beautiful 1.4 litre T-Jet engine. There is a slight turbo hidden down here, very little turbo with a lot of punch. One thing I absolutely love about this car is the engine bay. It's a slight bit dirty at the minute, I haven't had time to clean it. I'm fighting the sun here, as you know, in winter time or autumn in the UK we are limited on the sunshine that we have. But this middle part here, I love it. I think they have done a perfect job with the engine cover in this. It brings a lot of attention to it. It makes it look so mean and aggressive, again with the scorpion on it. I have personally given this a slight carbon fibre wrap effect. Not too much to see. Very impressive how they wedged a 1.4 turbo in this smaller space, but well done Abarth. I mean, they did a good job with it. They did a very good job with it. Onto the interior. These cars have a very quirky interior. I've heard a lot of good things and a lot of bad things about these. For example, the seating position, you do sit very high up in this car compared to many other cars that are of this sportiness. You sit quite high up. Feels like you're on a dining chair, but I think that is just to match the height of the dashboard, and so you could see over the boost gauge and this. it's not to everybody's taste. I've had opinions from friends and family. Some have said they love it, some have said nah, they wouldn't have it. For me though, it does the trick. I am 6'2" and I fit in it fairly comfortably. I've done a few 3-hour drives, and I mean, if I stayed in there any longer I'd probably get cramp, but I didn't, so that's a win in my books. Now these come with Interscope speakers, which again I've heard a lot of people complain about. Me personally, I don't mind them. Coming from a Ford Fiesta from 2005, I think it's quite a good sound system. You get a sub underneath the seat, which proper packs a punch of bass. I'll show you more of the interior now. Before I bring this video to an end, I thought I have to let you guys know what this car sounds like. If any of you are interested in buying one out there with a sports cat and a straight through exhaust, this is what it sounds like. Might piss your neighbours off, but mine personally, they love it. They've told me themselves. So there we have it. That is my review on the Abarth 500. I quite like the things. I think they're quirky. They're not to everybody's taste, but that's why I like them. They're different, they stand out, and with that exhaust, you get a fair people looking at you, which you might love it, you might hate it. Everyone's got a car for them. This is mine. I love this thing so much. Thank you again for watching and taking your time to understand a bit more about these, and hopefully I've taught you what's different to an Abarth 500 and a Fiat 500. Keep tuned because I will be doing more videos on other cars, possibly not quite as interesting as this, hopefully more interesting than this. I've got a couple lined up, one including a van that has been transformed into a camper. Stay tuned to see that video, I suppose. Thank you very much.